closing speaker for today's May Day. You see, education, the defence of education, is one of the key issues that faces our movement. I've been an education worker all my life, working in both the school and the further education sector, and therefore it's a great pleasure to welcome here today the Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union, a union who's just been formed by the merger of the NUT and the ATL. So a big Chesterfield May Day welcome to Kevin Courtney. Kevin.
Education cuts! No ifs, no buts, no education cuts! Like James said, my name's Kevin Courtney, and until September I was General Secretary of the National Union of Teachers. Since then I've been Joint General Secretary of the National Education Union, which is the biggest education union in Europe and which organises a majority of teachers in England and Wales. And I am so proud to be invited here today with this fantastic panel of speakers and on the best May Day parade in the country. It's better than London's parade. I tell you, Chesterfield is famous for being the heart of the fight back. We know that you've had setbacks, but Chesterfield is the heart of the fight back, the heart of the fight for working class people. And I come from a similar area, from South Wales. Both my granddads were miners. I never met my mum's dad because he died of pneumoconiosis when he was 50 before I was born. My dad was a lorry mechanic, and on the day of the Aberfan disaster 50 years ago, he had to take a workmate to Aberfan because that workmate had lost 2 children when that coal slipped over a school and killed a whole school of children and their teachers. And I tell you, when I go back to see my mum, and I go back regularly to see her in South Wales, you see the effects of an uncaring government that has done nothing for industrial strategy after they closed the mines, nothing for an industrial strategy after they closed the Hoover factory in Merthyr Tydfil, who have attacked our unions time and time again. And I tell you, my dad, he was not an educated man. He left school at 14, but he was a lorry mechanic, and it was a good job. It was a job with good pay, with a good union, with good pension. And I go back there and I see my nieces and nephews, and I know it's the same in Chesterfield. You see people in ununionised work on 0 hours contracts with no pensions who are treated like shit by their employers. They tell us it's efficient, and we call bullshit. This isn't efficiency. My mother was a school cleaner, was a dinner lady. And she was privatised in that wave of privatisation that came after the miners' strike. And I tell you, I've seen at first hand what the efficiency of privatisation is. Their so-called efficiency. To a first approximation, it was then working class women working longer for less. That's what their efficiency was. It was never clever, it was never big, it was never efficient, it was always just bullying. And now it's not just women, and it's not just blue-collar workers who are seeing that happening. It's happening to all grades of workers. You look at Uber. And God, I like a good app as much as the next person. And they claim they're so efficient and so clever with their app, but they take 25% of every driver's wage for the whole of their lives. That's not efficient. They didn't even invent the app, they took it from someone else. That's not efficient, that's not big, that's not clever, that's just bullying. And we see it the same way in Sports Direct, we see it the same way in supply agencies, people who do nothing, taking the wage from the people who are earning. And I tell you, they destroy our economy when they do that as well, because it means people haven't got the money to buy the goods that are being produced. Now, these people are our real enemy. These people are the people who are trying to destroy a good society that we want to live in together. They would have you look somewhere else. They would have you look at migrants and tell you that they are the cause of the problem in our society. But the problem is the lack of industrial strategy, the lack of investment in skills in our economy, the attacks on trades unions. That is what is doing our economy down, and that's why we're here to fight back today. And we are seeing that suffering in Chesterfield as much as in the rest of the country. 2,400 emergency packages of food issued by the Chesterfield Food Bank last year. 2,400 packages. You look at the Chesterfield Primary School, which is losing more than £200,000 between 2015 and 2020. You look at Chesterfield High School, more than £250,000 being taken out of that school budget. And I tell you, these people, they will have you think black is white. The Tory ministers who tell you that it is a good thing that we've got food banks. Well, I tell you, it is a good thing that somebody is out there working for the poor, but it is not a good thing that we've got food banks. It is a disgrace in an economy like ours that people are needing to go to food banks. And if this government had 1 ounce of honesty, they would say that it proves that their economy isn't working, that their policies aren't working, and they would say we've got to get this right, and the first thing we'll do is resign, because we have to get out of the way and let somebody else run the economy for us. And I tell you, it is right for people to fight back against these things. It is absolutely right for McDonald's workers to go on strike for union recognition of the £10 an hour. It is absolutely right for UCU lecturers to strike for their pension. It is absolutely right for teachers in East Sussex to be on strike last week for fair pay. And it was right of those teaching assistants in Derby and Durham to strike against the cuts that were being enforced on their wages. We have to fight to make the world better. And we're fighting for our children. Because these school cuts that are happening in Chesterfield, but up and down the country, are damaging our children's life chances. We are seeing class sizes go up across the country. We are seeing special needs teaching assistants made redundant or not replaced when they leave, and children losing out. We are seeing arts, dance, drama being cut back in our schools, and we have to fight back. I'm told that in the general election last year, 750,000 people changed their vote because of some of the work that we did on school cuts, but because people could see the difference between the Tory and Labour manifestos and what they said about school cuts. We need a government that is going to prioritise education. We need a government that is going to say that our children's life chances matter, that our skills in our economy matter. And we have to say to politicians who tell us that there isn't enough money, we have to tell them it's their job to invest in our country and invest in our young people. The politicians who say, we haven't got the money now, but we'll put some money back in the future, we've got to tell them our children only have one chance to go to school. And if a politician tells you... If they tell you it's not their fault, it's austerity that created this situation, I think you have to tell them that a 5-year-old who is starting school in Chesterfield Primary School this September wasn't even born in 2008. That an 11-year-old starting at Chesterfield High School in September was only 1 in 2008. And whoever's fault it wasn't theirs. They shouldn't be paying the price. Chesterfield, let's unite for an economy that works for all of us, an economy that works for the many, for good jobs for all, and for a decent education for our children. Thank you very much.